Good morning, all the committee, and also our honorable guest from UBCHEA, Mam Wong Wei Ching, Mam Hope Anthony, Mr. Ricky Cheng, Miss Anna Low, and Miss Ann Pelan. Thank you very much for joining us. And for our keynote speakers, Father Johny, Mr. Eko, and Mr. Aditya, thank you very much for your time and willingness to share with us. We will start soon, about 5 minutes. And for all the participants, I'm sorry we have to mute your speaker because all the question will be posted in the chat room. So the moderator will guide you later on. So enjoy the seminar. And I also want to welcome all my classmates in Whole Person Education Academy of cohort 2017 and 2018. Welcome back to this class. So we will wait just for 3 minutes to start. I hope you all enjoy this event. Thank you.
Shall we start now?
Okay, Bu, please just start this webinar. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this Whole Person Education Academy webinar series on integrating whole person education and online environment. This webinar is presented to you by 5 leading private universities in Indonesia, which are very concerned with whole person education. They are Universitas Kristen Satya Wacana Salatiga, Sanata Dharma University Yogyakarta, Petra Christian University Surabaya, Maranatha Christian University Bandung, and Duta Wacana Christian University, Yogyakarta. These webinar series are also made possible with the support of the United Board for Christian Higher Education in Asia and Ateneo de Manila University, Philippines. The webinar series will be held twice, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the first one with the topic of student formation through online environment, and next week with the topic of the design of online environment for teaching and learning during and after COVID-19. Now allow me to greet directly and personally our three keynote speakers for today. And good morning, Dr. Go, Dr. Eka, and Dr. Aditya. And also my greeting to the representatives of UBCHEA. I got Dr. Hope Anthony as the Director for Faculty Development, and then Dr. Angela Wong Wai Ching, the United Board Vice President for Program, and Anne Fallon M.A. as UB Communication Consultant. Excuse me if I cannot mention the other honorable representatives from UB who supported this webinar very greatly, but very happy to have you all here. And I would also like to greet directly the whole committee who have been working so hard and so passionately to bring this webinar uh, online for the participants. And of course, my wholeheartedly greeting too to all the participants in Zoom platform here and also the YouTube channel. I'm Megawati from Duta Wacana Christian University. Will be facilitating this webinar as the Master of Ceremony and Moderator. Now let's start, ladies and gentlemen, with the first agenda. We are going to have the opening remark from the representative of the committee. Let us welcome Dr. Auda Tedaena from Sanata Dharma University for the opening remarks. Dr. Auda, the time for opening remark is yours. He needs to be unmuted. Dear committee.
Everyone hear me okay? Yes, okay, good.
Yes.
So good morning, everyone. And again, welcome to the program. So as Bhumika already mentioned, that this program was initiated by 5 universities in Indonesia that has just been mentioned previously. So Petra, Maranatha, UKSW, UKDW, and Sanata Dharma University, USD. And I think we owe a great deal to Ibu Debbie or Miss Debbie. She's the leader of this group. She contacted us, the alumni of Whole Person Education Academy, and then we talk about what we can do during this pandemic. So we end up with this program, the webinar series. There are 2. And we believe that these 5 universities and also everyone in this webinar has a common belief that higher education should foster young people to grow academically, but also spiritually. So that is more or less what we believe about education. Um, this is also, this pandemic is a kind of good and bad thing. Later we will be listening to Father Johny, Pak Eka, and also Pak Aditya will be sharing about, what is good and what is, well, not very good, but it's kind of, can we find something in it? So we will be discussing that, sharing that together, because we as people, professional educators, and also institutions should always review and reflect about our practice, our work, our mission, so that we will serve our students better. We can serve young people better. That is why we have this webinar series, and we would like to express our gratitude to the speakers, Father Johny, Dr. Eka, Priyatma, and also Dr. Aditya, and also special appreciations to United Board, especially to Dr. Hope Anton, who support us wholeheartedly, and also UP team. We have Dr. Angela Wong, Wai Ching, An Pelan, Anna Lau, and also I think Ricky Cheng, who's also with us today. So again, we hope that we can reflect, we can discern, we can learn from this pandemic, so that we can serve students, we can serve young people better. So again, thank you very much for everyone joining this program. And we do hope that you learn something from the program and also enjoy the program. Thank you, Bhumika.
Thank you, Pa Auda or Dr. Auda, for the opening remark that sets the warm atmosphere for our webinar. Now we will continue, ladies and gentlemen, with the photo taking. So start your video and give your best smile. Mr. Ryan from the committee will take several shots to make sure that all of our pictures are taken. So maybe yes, we need to give our also creative pose like what Pa Oda already gave as an example. Is that
Okay,
all?
thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mas Ryan. Yeah, we have here around 152 in Zoom, and I don't have any information how many people are there in the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for the photo together. And I'm going to continue with two announcements to make before going on with our main agenda for this webinar. The first is about the QA session. After three keynote speakers later, there will be a question and answer session for 20 minutes. You can write your question in the Zoom or YouTube chat box, live chat, using this format. Yes. You mention your name, underscore your home institution or country, underscore the name of the speaker that you ask, underscore your question. Please make sure that you ask maximum two relevant questions to the topic. And the second announcement relates to the exit ticket link. So at the end of this webinar, the link to exit ticket will be given in the chat box and the screen for you later to submit at the latest at 4 p.m. Western Indonesia time or 5 p.m. Manila, Hong Kong time. Your exit ticket will allow you to get e-certificate automatically from the committee. So keep being with us for the whole webinar. Let us now proceed with the first session on student formation through online environment, presented by Father Johny C. Go as J.E.D.D. Dr. Go, or Father Johny, affectionately addressed, have graduated from Ateneo de Manila, both for undergraduate and M.A. degrees. There are two M.A. degrees that he got in philosophy and theology, and two doctorate degrees from University uh, College of London and Nanyang Technological University. This doctoral degree is in education. And right now, Dr. Uh, Go is the global assistant for the mission and identity of Jesuit schools, international secretariat for Jesuit secondary and post-secondary education. And he's also the director in Ateneo de Manila Institute for the Science and Art of Learning and Teaching, uh, shortened by SALT. And he is also the coordinator for programs of the Asia Pacific Network of Jesuit Schools, Jesuit Conference of Asia Pacific, Education Secretary for Asia Pacific. Some seminars, talks, or workshops given include, but not limited to, we have received a 13-page CV, ladies and gentlemen, so this might be a little representative of the whole. The topics covered include the Ministry of Teaching, and then learning by reflection, Ignatian pedagogy, integrating Christian values to teach Gen Z teens, and principle and foundation of Jesuit education. Now, are you ready to learn from Father Johny or Dr. Go? Yes, of course. So let us give our round of applause to welcome Dr. Go. Dr. Go, the time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to have been invited to this webinar, and I'd like to say hello to all my friends in Indonesia. So the topic I was asked to share with you about today is online student formation. No? As we know, for our universities, student formation is very important. No? So just as we are preparing how to offer classes, no? How to offer our academic programs to our students in an online environment, we must not forget that we are also being asked to make sure we offer online student formation. No? For most of our universities, I think this diagram captures our mission. No? There are three very important elements. Academic excellence is certainly an important ingredient in the mission and vision of our universities, but also faith and values formation, which is just as important, if not more important, some people will say, no? Because if you have a very competent person, but the character is flawed, that person will be a very dangerous person, as we are seeing in some many examples all over the world today, And also, I think the third element is we want our students to use their academic excellence and their faith and values formation to serve other people, especially those who are in greatest need. No? But before I talk about online student formation, I just want to talk about our context, no? Our world today. And obviously, we are all trying to figure out, no, this global pandemic. No? And it has very different implications on ourselves as educators, on ourselves as persons, but also very importantly on our students. No? For example, as we know, our students are young people, and more than us who are adults, I think young people have very strong social needs, no? And yet the global pandemic has asked them to distance themselves socially, no? They are unable to see their friends. We all know that one of the most important motivations our students have in coming to school, aside from learning, is really being with their friends, no? So this social deprivation that our students are experiencing is very important, no? As we are designing our academic programs and also our formation programs, we have to keep this in mind that this is the context, no, of our students today, no, as well as ourselves. Okay. Also, according to psychologists all over the world, maybe we don't notice it. Maybe we're still studying and working from home as hard as we can, no? But in general, one effect of this global pandemic is a lowering of everyone's energy level, no? We are all low bat now, especially our students, no? So again, as we are designing our programs, whether it's academic and formation, we must keep this in mind, no? That our students, just like their teachers, ourselves, no, we have lower energy level, no? And we have to be acknowledging this. We cannot deny this, no? Because many of us still expect ourselves to be super productive, just like before the global pandemic, no? But there's a difference between being active and being productive, no? Being active is important. Being active during this global pandemic, according to psychologists, is very healthy, no? We should not just hide in our beds and get depressed all day. We must be active, no? But it doesn't mean we should expect the same level of productivity, just like during the old normal, no? If we are not as productive as before, that is okay. No? That is okay. If we demand the same level of productivity, we might get ourselves into trouble, no? Psychologically. So again, we have to think about this when we're designing the formation program and academic programs of our students. The other context, no, for ourselves and for our students is access, no? It's very easy for the first world country to talk about online learning and online formation, no? But for us in the Philippines and maybe in Indonesia, access is not something we can take for granted. So whenever we are designing an online academic or formation program, we must always think of being inclusive, no? We cannot exclude any student, no? We must make every effort, no, to make sure that everyone is included. No? We must always think of the students in our class with the weakest link, with the most limited access. No? Otherwise, our formation program is not effective because we are not walking the talk. We are not practicing what we preach, which is to be inclusive. No? Okay. Um, so obviously this pandemic is a crisis, and in Chinese, the phrase for this is 危机, no? But very interestingly, this Chinese phrase 危机 is made up of two other phrases, no? 危险, which is danger, which a crisis we know is dangerous, no? But the second character, 机, is from 机会, which means opportunity. So as educators, we're trying to embrace this crisis as an opportunity. So I'd like to say that perhaps when we talk about online formation for our students, we should also think about the opportunity part, the opportunity dimension of providing online formation for our students. No? But first, I want to ask you, no, let's examine our underlying assumptions, no, about online learning and online formation. Just like an iceberg, no, our underlying formation assumptions form the more important part, because we cannot do a good job unless we are sure our assumptions are in line with what we're trying to do. So let me ask you a question. Do you think online formation is worse or better than face to face formation? Can you type it in the chat box? You can put worse or better, or whatever your answer is. Can you all try to do that now? I'll give you 1 minute to do that. No? So just type worse or better. No? So can we try to do that? Okay. Okay, so there's no clear consensus. Some people say it's worse, some people say it's better, and some people say both. No, and of course the answer is it depends. No, it depends, because just because something is online or just because something is face to face doesn't mean it's better. No, it's not about delivery. No, it's about design. It depends on how you design it. No, so even if you have face-to-face formation, but if the design is awful, it's worse. No? If you are online, if your design is bad, it's going to be worse. No? But if you are online, but your design is good, if your design is effective, your online formation, just like your online academic program, can be better. So, my dear educators, the crucial factor is not whether you're online or face to face. The crucial factor is the way we design our academic and especially our formation program. No? So, um, a lot of people say, oh, but when it's virtual, it's not real. It's not as real as face to face. I would like to disagree with that. No, virtual can be very real, because virtual means because when something is effective, it is real. So if your online design program is effective, if it makes a difference, then it's real. No? So virtual is okay. No? Secondly, some people say vicarious is not as good as direct. No? It's better for the students to experience something directly rather than to experience it vicariously. But again, I would like to contest that. No? We don't have to experience everything directly. Sometimes we read a story, a very moving story, or we watch a movie, it can change our lives. No? It can be very effective. No? And third, some people say it's better to be up close and personal. No? But I'm saying that the online opportunities for us is to become more vast, no? To be able to reach more people. No? And that can also be a good thing. No? I'll go back to what I call the three V's later. No? By the three V's, I mean virtual, vicarious, and vast. But the big idea that I want to relate to you, my dear educators and formators, is that if we go online with our formation program, it's an opportunity to be more virtual, it's an opportunity to be more vicarious, and it's an opportunity to be more vast, no? To reach more people. And these three V's are very promising. They can make our formation programs more effective. No? So let me talk to you a little bit about that given the time that I have. No? So first, when we talk about formation programs, just like our academic programs, we should have formation outcomes. No? And it's important to be explicit. It's important to be clear what our formation outcomes are. No? And where do we look? All we have to do is look at the vision and mission statement of our universities. Okay? So I'm sure all of our universities have beautiful vision and mission statements. No? But they're poetic, no? They're philosophical, but that's not useful. It's important for you to unpack your vision mission statement. No? Operationalize what your formation outcomes are. What do you want your graduates to be like by the time they graduate from your university? No? In terms of values, in terms of personal qualities. No? If you haven't written it down yet in your universities, I think that's step number one. Before you even think of any formation program, whether it's online or face to face, it's important to be explicit about your formation outcomes. And one way to do that is to look at your vision and mission statement. So, what should a graduate be like by the time the graduate graduates from your universities? The more explicit it is, the better it will be for you. So that's my first big idea. Define the formation outcomes. What will be the goals of your formation program? Now, here's a clue. Usually, when we talk about formation, we're talking about faith, we're talking about values, we're talking about service. So one way to define your formation program or to evaluate what formation outcomes you already have is to ask yourself what is explicit about the faith of the graduate. What do we want to happen to the faith of the graduate when the graduate finishes studying in our university? What do we want our graduates to have in terms of values by the time they graduate from the university? And what do we want our graduates to do in terms of service to the country and to the poor by the time they graduate to the university? So I'd like to invite you, maybe after this webinar, to check your formation outcomes. Come up with 3 big outcomes. Only 3. No? Don't come up with 200. That's too hard. No? Only 3. 3, one for faith, one for values, and one for service. I think if you're able to do this, the design of your formation program, whether it's online or face to face, will become better because you will be clearer about what you're aiming for, what you're designing for. Okay? So, next, let me talk to you a little bit about faith. What are some of the opportunities in online? No? So, we want to teach faith to our students. I don't know what your experience is, no? But in the Philippines, we are a largely Christian country, no? But it's very hard to form our students in their faith because their real religion is secularity. No? Because of modernization, development, because of the internet, no? Our students say they're Christian, but their real religion is secularism. No? Their values are affected by the world, not so much by scripture, not so much by the teachings of the church. I don't know what your experience is with your students, no? But it's important, I think, for us to look at the context, no? And in the Philippines, this is our context. So we cannot say, oh, we've done our job in the faith because most of our students are baptized Christian. Yes, maybe they're baptized, but are they living out the faith? I don't know, no? So, um, I think there are some opportunities, no? Our students have doubts and questions about their faith. No? No? And they're all seekers. They're searching for meaning in their lives. No? I think whether they're religious or not, they're searching for meaning in their lives. And we who are Christians, we who are believers, we believe that the religion, our faith, can provide some answers to the meaning of life. So this is an opportunity for us because when we go online, no, we can stop ourselves from telling them what they should believe. Maybe this is a good way for us to ask them about their questions and meet them where they are. Hopefully, we can meet them where they are, not so much that we will follow them, but so that they can follow us. So we can lead them to the faith. No? So it's a different way of evangelization. No? Usually face to face, we have our traditional way. We tell them no, what they should believe. But now because it's online, it's slightly different. Maybe we can make use of the environment to ask them what their questions are. What are they looking for? No? So it's a different kind of approach. It's a different kind of strategy. No? At the same time, maybe we can use our online program to help slow them down and quiet them down. No? People are always in the rush. People are always distracted. No? All of us who are using technology, all of us have what they call a distraction sickness. No? All of us are ADHD already because of the internet. No? So maybe the way we design our program, we should give them not so much prayers with so many words, no, but prayers that quiet them down and slow them down. No? Because you see, one blogger, Andrew Sullivan, wrote in his blog, "What is killing faith today is not science. No? Science has not been able to prove that God does not exist, and science will not be able to do that. What is killing our faith is the noise, all the distractions, no, that we are subjected to. So in our faith formation programs online, no, we have to make sure we give our students spaces for quieting down and slowing down. Okay? What about values? No? What about values? How can we teach our students values? No? And it's very similar to faith formation. We cannot rely anymore on the traditional way, which is telling them what their faith should be or what their values should be. So I have a question to ask you. When you teach about faith, when you teach about values, do you teach them as facts? Do you teach them as opinion? Or do you teach them as judgment? Let me explain a little bit what they mean. No? When you teach something as fact, for example, Jesus is our Savior. No? When you tell your students this is a fact, no? You're telling them to just shut up and accept it. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to do anything. Just accept what the authority, the teacher, scripture, and the church is teaching them. No? Well, the bad news is this doesn't work. They will give you the fact so that they will get an A in their exam, but after they graduate, they'll stop believing it. So maybe we should not teach our faith and values as fact. The other way, which is the opposite extreme, is to teach the faith and values as opinion. No? This is my opinion that Christ is the Savior. This is my opinion that we should all be honest. Now, what's wrong with teaching people fact and or as opinion? No, whether you're teaching faith or values, you're telling them it's up to you. You can choose whatever. No, you can choose to believe whatever you want. You can choose to embrace any value you want. It's your opinion. I will respect. We are both equally correct. Now, maybe we're being invited to teach our faith and values not as fact, not as opinion, but as judgment. We want to tell them, as far as scripture is concerned, as far as the church is concerned, as far as our faith community is concerned, these are the correct judgments. Christ is the Savior. Honesty is good. Does it make sense or not? Because a judgment, you have to evaluate. And you're telling them this has been evaluated for centuries. Your job now is to think critically, look at your life and look at the world, and evaluate these judgments that we are offering to you. So we are now empowering our students, no, to make their own judgment. But we are also challenging them that they cannot make their judgment only as an opinion. They have to be able to defend their judgment. They have to use reason to be able to make their judgment. Okay? So again, a different shift, no, in trying to teach values and trying to teach faith. This time we don't want them to just shut up and listen to their authority when we teach something as fact. We don't want them to just rebel against authority and just accept what they want to do, which is opinion. We want a balance between the two. No? We want them to say, these are judgments, and you must use reason to evaluate them and make your own judgment. Okay? Fine. And of course, in online learning and formation, there's a lot of opportunities for sharing. No? And when we're trying to form their values, this is a very powerful piece. No? How can we design their experience so that our students can share deeply with one another? No? Now, many people say, oh, face-to-face is better. It's more personal. But I'd like to tell you, in my experience, no, when I teach a class, The sharing is done only by the most extroverted people in class, only those who are the least shy. But when I do an online sharing, everyone shares because they are not pressured. They can think about what they want to say and then they type it in the discussion board. And the other surprising thing I encountered, when you have an online discussion board, the sharing there is more personal and deeper compared to the classroom. Why? Very understandable. Because in the classroom, you get embarrassed. But in the discussion board, you have more time to think about what to share. So, my dear educators, as far as formation is concerned, as far as sharing deeply and personally are concerned, there's a lot of promise. There's a lot of opportunities. So, I'd like to encourage you to think about opportunities you can create for your students for them to share. Finally, the third part of formation, we already have faith, we have values. The final part is service. No? How do we form them in terms of service? The key word is empathy, for them to feel for their neighbor. No? And there are many ways of doing this online. No? There are many stories online, many videos online that are very moving. No? For example, the stories of refugees. Instead of just giving them numbers and statistics, you can, look for clips on YouTube and share stories, short stories, very moving stories of experiences of refugees. What refugees went through, what people their age, no, who do not have the same thing they have, who are thrown out of their countries, who cross oceans, no, in great danger, losing family, losing possessions. No? This way we can build empathy. No? And at the same time, no, we build empathy not only for people who are like them, but also and especially for strangers. No? Because that's what service is. Service is not helping people who are like us. Service is having empathy for people who are different from us, who are strangers, but we want to serve them because it is what we should do as human beings. And again, going online will allow you to be more vast, no? To be able to connect more with strangers. Maybe before you would send them to a community in your town or city for them to get to know the poor. But now they can't do that. But they can get to know more people, more strangers across the world. There are many opportunities that you can create for your students. No? Okay? So I'd like to end by just saying that there used to be a saying that we are familiar with in English, which says, let's cross the bridge when we get there. No? Let's worry about that problem when we get there. Well, I'm sorry, that's no longer a saying that's applicable to us educators today. This saying is already outdated. There's now a new version of this saying. We don't say anymore, let's cross the bridge when we get there. Now we say, let's build the bridge as we are crossing it. Because there is no bridge, my dear educators. If you're asking yourself, how am I going to do online formation? We don't know. The only way to do it is to try it. There is no bridge. No? Do not look for a bridge. You have to build the bridge. No? As we are crossing it, we have to build the bridge. But the good news is we are building the bridge together and we can learn from one another. And so my final message to you is there's a crisis. There are a lot of but there are a lot of opportunities. No? Do not look for formulas. Do not look for templates. No? There is no template yet. There is no bridge yet. We are building the bridge together. We will figure things out together. We will learn together how to do online formation. So if you are anxious, that's normal. If you don't know what to do, that's also normal. So my dear educators, I'd like to just encourage you, no, to give it your best shot. All of us are trying our best to do our mission. Thank you very much.
Mana ya? Bu Meka, could you unmute your microphone?
Okay, I will repeat. Thank you, Dr. Go, for your inspiration and especially your encouragement to build the bridge together as we cross it. Thank you very much. And dear participants, you can ask your questions according to the format that we have already showed to you. Now we are going to continue, ladies and gentlemen, with our second speaker today, Dr. Johannes Eko Priyatma. That's how we pronounce his name. Um, he got his undergraduate degree in mathematics from Gadjah Mada University, and his master degree on computer science from Ateneo de Manila Graduate School of Business, and from University Putra, Malaysia, his Ph.D. in Graduate School of Management on Management Information Systems. And Dr. Eko is now the rector of Sanata Dharma University and chairman of the Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities in Asia Pacific. His expertise, among others, on relational database design, analysis and design of information systems, and analysis of e-government using actor network theory. Dr. Eko will deliver uh, the topic continuing what Dr. Go has started now on the Indonesian context. So the topic that Dr. Eko would like to deliver is on student formation through online environment in Indonesian context. So Dr. Eko, the time is yours. Let's give our applause, virtual applause to Dr. Eko to welcome him.
Pak Eko, excuse me, could you unmute your...
Sorry, I'm sorry, I forgot to use my microphone. Once again, I thank you very much for Ibu Mega, who has introduced me to all participants. Good morning, everyone who are joining this webinar. I am very happy to have this kind of opportunity. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Hope and United Board for inviting me as one of the speakers in this very interesting and contextual webinar. Before I start my presentation, allow me to share my screen. I hope you have already my screen, and as you can see on your screen, the topic that was asked to me is about student formation through online environment in Indonesian context. Because I'm the second presenter and Dr. Johny Go has presented some basic element of formation in online environment, then my job is much easier. And even I finally realized that some of his notions, some of his idea is almost the same with the one that I will share to all of you. When we look at to this theme or topic, for me, who has a background in science and mathematics, this topic is big. I mean, it has many issues related to student formation in the online environment, especially when we also include the Indonesian context. Therefore, to simplify the topics and to help you all participants following my presentation each year, I broke up this big team into several questions as listed here. And basically, my presentation will be just set of answers to all these questions, though I didn't make my answer following this question because all these question is interrelated to each other. Let me start with what is there any problem? Did Ibu Meka, could you see my presentation? Because I just got information from Prauda.
We cannot see the second screen yet, your questions, Dr. Eka. So yes, now
Can you
here
see?
is the slide for the questions. Yes.
Sorry for some technical problem. Yes, I broke up that theme because for me that theme, that topic is complex and big into several questions, and then basically my presentation will be answers to all these questions. So let me start with the first reflection, the first understanding to what we are having right now. What really has changed us during this pandemic? Technically speaking, many of our daily life and campus life has changed a lot. We have to wash our hands regularly. We have to wear masks. We have to avoid gathering and stop visiting others. And the most difficult part for me is to stop visiting some interesting places. However, if we think deeply, that kind of new attitude of new daily life actually is no problem at all. Because the cause of this new habit is that we are now prohibited to interact or communicate physically, intensively. And now ICT play its role to mediate us for our interaction and for our communications. But when we are trying to use this ICT as a new medium for our communication and interaction, finally, we realize that our physical interaction is so meaningful. Its richness cannot be easily replaced by ICT-mediated interaction. And as a result, I'm sorry, there is a feedback. And as a result, we cannot enjoy our online learning. What I mean by we, it does not mean that it is for our student only, but also include our lectures, our professor, especially those who have been senior in our campus. It is not only our student, but both of our student and lecturers cannot easily enjoy our online learning. Why? Because the online learning or ICT mediated interaction has removed some important and meaningful values of our life. Though I also believe that ICT, as has been mentioned by Father Johny, provide multisensory and also multi-platform for communication. And even it also facilitates a more efficient and but remove physical and even remove physical and time boundary. However, as I mentioned before, it cannot fully replace some essential values of direct or non-mediated interactions. When we look at this given table, all of you can see that some very essential values like authenticity, permanence, stability, formality, and physical health is very important and very essential, but it could be a threat if we are entering or we are using online environment. The main question we have, if those important values such as authenticity, permanency, and physical health is essential in our whole person educations, then how we should understand this kind of reality, how to negotiate our action and how to reconstruct our learning so that those opportunities offered by ICT or online environment could be optimally used, and at the same time, how to minimize, how to control all possible threats produced by online environment. But before doing that, we should understand why this ICT or online environment produce equally both to opportunities and also threats. For me, there are at least three phenomena that characterize the trend of ICT development, namely convergence, intelligence, and disintermediation. Among these three phenomena, disintermediation is the most influential one to our whole person education concern. And disintermediation means decreasing role or function of those who play as mediator or agent or bridge or link to connect or facilitate interaction or transaction between two parties. When I mention bridge in this context, it should not be considered as the same bridge that Father Johny just mentioned in his presentation. Because of this disintermediations, nowadays we do not need postmen anymore. We do not need bank teller. We do not need tourist and hotel agency. But when we continue or we imagine the next development of ICT and we reflect our own position as a lecturer or as an educator, then we will finally come up with the new awareness that basically lecturers and educators play also its role as a mediator. And therefore, all of us as an educator might be irrelevant in the near future. So it is not only about pandemic, a global pandemic, that has put ourselves in a very difficult situation. The development ICT itself, whether it is in the pandemic or it is not in the pandemic, we are in the position to be replaced if we could not find a new role in this ICT environment. And this intermediation phenomenon, will intensify and cover more and more sectors as ICT become smarter due to the advanced development of artificial intelligence. So the gadget we have, the smartphone we have, from day to day become smarter and cleverer, even maybe someday will be smarter than us. And other related phenomenon to contribute to the intense disintermediation is the convergence, where many functions could be done using single technology product such as smartphone. That is why the main usage of smartphone now is no longer to function as a phone, but instead for taking photos, playing videos, and making many kind of transactions, because many function, many tasks could be done using just single gadget. That's the phenomena of conversion. Now, the next question to answer is, are those changes in our context, whether in the pandemic context and ICT context, essential to our concern on whole person education, and why? Luckily, Father Johny has mentioned it is not about the digital environment or online environment. It is about how to design so that our design for the whole person education maximize the potential of ICT and how to minimize its threat in implementing whole person education. The problem we have when we look at our online environment to implement our concern on whole person education is that this environment is relatively new to most of us. But what I mean new is not the online environment in reality new. This online environment has been with us for the last 20 years. The problem, while we are having pandemic, we are forced to live this new ecosystem, this new environment, and suddenly we feel that we are not ready, we have problem, we are not familiar, but we have no choice. We have to use this new environment as the only platform, as the only system that we should use to continue our service, to educate, and to prepare our students. Therefore, therefore, the most important thing when we are discussing the whole person education in this online environment should be start from the strong framework to implement whole person education. Fortunately, what I mentioned here has been also mentioned by Father Johny. I propose this framework. First, I formulated like this: the more indirect is the better. Why? Because some of us may believe that implementing whole person education is a matter of direct nurturing in physical ecosystem, while we believe that whole person education will be more effective if it is indirect through some interesting and meaningful learning activities. If we use this kind of framework, then it is not appropriate to expect that our concern on whole person education can only be done after pandemic finish, and we start doing the same thing by nurturing or telling our students to do this, to do that. And by using this framework, as Father Johny mentioned, it is no problem at all actually to only have online environment, because the principle is very clear. If it is more indirect, then it is better for our student formation. That's why since 5 years ago, we in Sanata Dharma also promoted the notion of cybernetic space as the most appropriate space for whole person education, because we are fully aware that we cannot stop the growth and the strong contribution, the strong features, the relevant features of ICT, and we have to maximize its role in educating our students. But as a Jesuit university, we have been developing our campus in such a way. Campus is it's a good place for our students to have physical interaction through many kind of activities like sport, art performance, music performance, and so on. And therefore, we in Sanata Dharma propose or start doing to improve our capacity in developing the so-called cybernetic space. What we mean by cybernetic space, it is an integrative view of our reality as a combination of physical and virtual space. By using this kind of perspective, then we will maximize both our physical reality and at the same time, our virtual reality. However, due to pandemic of COVID-19, starting last semester, we have to pause our commitment to develop our cybernetic space. So the new football field, the new auditorium, the new facilities we develop in a physical space right now cannot be used for a while. But we hope later on, when we can finish our pandemic, we will try to use it again as part of cybernetic space to maximize our student formation. Now, the third point in my proposed framework is that the whole person education or student formation should be integrated with daily learning. It is not enough if the way we understand student formation is totally separate from their daily activities in class. And therefore, later on, I will mention that in Sanata Dharma, as part of Jesuit University, we will implement the so-called Ignatian pedagogy. Now, next, based on these 3 points in my proposed framework, the next question to answer is, how do we reconstruct our learning from our online learning from the perspective of whole person education? As Father Johnny mentioned, the most important thing is design. No problem. The system we use, either physical or virtual, but the most important thing is how to design it. First of all, when we are using online environment to design our class so that it has enough concern on whole person education, we should start first change our orientation. And many times, I always say this in Sanata Dharma to all my colleagues in Sanata Dharma, that the most important thing is not on how to teach, but on how to facilitate students to learn well. So the focus should be to our student. Therefore, our online learning should be developed to support independent learning. But we also realize that the independent learning will be effective if we employ group project-based learning or case-based learning. Why it's like that? Because the way I understand the problem in improving our student formation is that they depend a lot to their peers. As mentioned by Father Johnny, learning is never an individual in therefore. It is always social in therefore. So the way we design our online learning should be based on an activity that will invite our students to collaborate, to have a collaboration activity with their classmate or with their peer. So the setting we are developing in implementing online learning should be a collaborative learning. By using this collaborative approach, we are hoping that our students will have enough opportunity to understand themselves better, to have opportunity to work together, to respect others, and there are many values, good values to prepare, themselves to enter a job market. Now, it is time to reflect the problem, the realities we have in implementing our online learning environment. First, for me, pandemic of COVID-19 could be positioned as a trigger and also a speed up to implement cybernetic space, though for a while we cannot fully use our physical space. But it is good time. It is right time to enter the new kind of learning, though this kind of learning has been there for a long time. But this is a very good time because we have to use that kind of learning environment. However, we have to realize that most of our students, especially in Indonesian context, are not ready to embrace this learning because most of them, they are not ready to have independent learning. Why? The way I understand it like this, because especially in Indonesian context, most of our students are rooted from agricultural society, and therefore learning in general is essential in their for. These realities bring consequence that togetherness and real social bonding are very essential to the learning performance. So I feel when our students joining online class, they feel alone, and the way they enjoy the learning process is very difficult because their learning activity, I think, they feel like it's very dry and very lonely. And lastly, for me, character building especially happen in social setting, and therefore learning dynamic in online learning should be designed to facilitate intimate and meaningful interaction among students. Finally, my last presentation is about reflection to what we have done in Sanata Dharma. Maybe this point will be meaningful and can be said to all participants. But actually, I cannot stop reflecting what we are doing in Sanata Dharma because actually we are struggling. We are struggling not only to deliver our class optimally, but we are struggling how to have student formation in this pandemic situation. First, we have to be...
Your screen, Pak Eko, the next screen.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So we have a pandemic situation and we have to adopt online learning. Our commitment to implement Ignatian pedagogy, because as Jesuit University, we inherit Ignatian pedagogy that has orientation to prepare our students to have three competence, three attitude, that is competence, conscience, and compassion. And therefore, we have been doing some activities. First, we promote, I call it online learning spirituality. So we have a conference, we have a seminar to reflect what kind of attitude, understanding, awareness to embrace this online situation. And therefore, we have to maintain our intimate engagement, and we have to develop awareness that is new awareness to consider that it is not campus anymore, but house is our new avenue for education and growth. This kind of awareness is very important because sometimes we forget that our student is now at their house, no longer they are in campus, and house so far never been conceptualized as a place for learning. And therefore, we should develop the so-called pandemic-sensitive learning. And therefore, it should not only be developed based on online learning characteristic, but should also be based on new understanding that house is new, house and its environment is new learning situation or condition. Of course, we did also some technical improvement, like improve our existing learning management system. And therefore, we have several activities to train our staff, to train our educators and lectures. But all these things has been done. But before doing these activities, we started with by talking with our students. So we initiated all this improvement by first listening to our student, and our preparation to fully develop online learning will be based on our understanding to our student problem and situation. Of course, we also improve our ICT infrastructure, and we keep improving our communication channel. And the new thing we are doing right now is developing digital television, because my struggle as the leader of this university is how to communicate better with our new student, with new situation. And therefore, digital television might be a good tool, a good facilitate that can improve our engagement to our student. That's all I can say this morning. I'm sorry if some of my presentation cannot easily be understood. And therefore, thank you for your attention. And I will be happy if you have question or comment to my presentation and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eka. We can give a round virtual applause one more time to thank him, especially because Dr. Eka has given us some specific context to sample or to uh, clarify what Dr. Go has initiated with the concept of formation program. We could see that when Dr. Go said about how the design of the formation program matters, Dr. Eko suggested some reconstructuring online learning from the whole person education perspectives. And some questions I saw in the chat room were also already answered, as Dr. Eko also gave an example of how uh, Sanata Dharma has helped the students in need and also started to listen to them. Now we are going to continue with the third keynote speaker of today, who will interestingly talk about the students' perspectives. So it seems like the three keynote speakers having the topics in relation to one another. So ladies and gentlemen, let me also introduce you now to Dr. Liauw Toong Tjiek, or Dr. Aditya Nugraha from Petra Christian University. Yes, okay. He has his undergraduate degree from Petra Christian University in electrical engineering, and his master degree in library and information science with Fulbright scholarship from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And his PhD degree is on information studies from Curtin University, Western Australia, the Endeavour Postgraduate Scholar from the Australian Department of Education. And his position now is as Director of the Excellence in Learning and Teaching Center, or ELTC. The next screen, please, Bu Debbie. That's it. Thank you. After he finished his office as director of the library, Petra Christian University. His interests, among others, are in digital repositories, open access, and educational technology. Dr. Aditya Nugraha is one of the whole person education ambassadors after he finished his Whole Person Education Academy in 2018, Whole Person Education Eco Training the next year, and Whole Person Harvest Seminar in the same year in 2019. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us give our warm applause to Dr. Aditya Nugraha with his topic on student voices on online learning. Dr. Aditya, the time is yours. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you, Bu Mega. Can you all see my PowerPoint and
Yes,
my voice? Okay. My voice is okay?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today I will be delivering the results of the survey that we have conducted at Petra University to students on their perspective on the online learning. So, but before we go there, I would like for us to have a little refreshing activity. I will use Mentimeter, which I have learned also as well from the Whole Person Education Academy in Ateneo. So, if you would like to join me, could you please take your smartphone, or you can open a new window in your laptop and then open an internet browser, go to menti.com and then enter the 6-digit code on the top of the slide. And then click submit, and then I only have 3 short questions. So just to refresh us, and then, yeah. And then I see some of you have already interacted. So if you have entered the code, you can see the the heart symbol. You can click on the heart symbol if you like, and it will be reflected on my page. Okay, I will just wait like a few more seconds for people to get into Menti before I display my first question today. So yeah, uh, 13, 14 people already. I won't be waiting for the whole participants uh, to participate, because it will take too much time. So I will just maybe wait until maybe 50 people. Okay. And then I will start my presentation about the result of the survey. So basically, I'm just sharing the result of the survey, which of course there are some limitation because the survey is conducted at Petra Christian University. So some aspect might be applicable to other universities, some aspect might not be applicable to other universities. So that's the context of my presentation today. There are a number of things that I will not be presenting because there are too much to share. So I will just focus on the most important thing uh, in the in the survey, especially what are the students' perception on the online learning, which we have to say it's forced upon all of us, either the lecturers or the students. So it's kind of like a sudden something very influential or fundamental change because of the COVID, because of the virus, and then all of a sudden we have to do everything online. Okay, so we have 40 people already, so maybe, yeah, a few more seconds, and then I will just start my first question. Okay, maybe I don't have to wait until 50. I'll just start with the first question now. Okay, so I would like to see where you are connecting or joining this webinar from. Only from region, because I cannot put individual countries because there will be too many choices. So I have to group some countries together, like Indonesia and Timor-Leste, Singapore and Malaysia, the Philippines, and there are others as well. Okay, yeah, mostly from Indonesia. Yeah, that's normal to be expected. The Philippines, yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Second question will be, yeah, just a few more seconds to give the opportunity to the others. Yes, mostly from Indonesia. Yeah. Okay. I'll move to the second question. Which is, during this COVID-19, if you have to choose only one option, which one will you choose? Fully online instruction or blended? 50-50 still. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. More people selected blended instruction. Okay. Yeah, about 2 to 1. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now the last question. You have to type for this one, so you don't select, but you have to type just short statement. What's the number one difficulty according to you that your students are facing in online instructions? If you have typed it, and then okay, internet connection. Okay, 2 out of 3 already said internet connection. 4, 5, 6. Okay, internet connection, internet access. Yeah, seems like many of us agree that internet connection is the number one problem for our students to participate in our online instructions. Yeah, yeah, amazing. All said something about connection or internet connection, or yeah, yes. Okay, okay. I think I got the approximately the general perception of the lecturers of what is the number one difficulty for students. Okay. Okay. I'll just proceed to my presentation about the survey. Okay. So I would like to introduce first about our university. So I'm from Petra Christian University. It's a medium-sized private university located in Surabaya, and Surabaya is the second largest city in Indonesia after Jakarta. Okay, and we have approximately 8,500 students, mostly undergraduate. We have 7 faculties, including 4 international programs, and then 6 postgraduate departments. Our university is part of the Petra Christian Schools network, which comprises of 28 schools from playgroup, kindergarten, and primary up to high school. But our university is independently and separately managed from the rest of the school network. So even though we still have a very good connection. And the majority of our students are of Chinese Indonesian descent and coming from middle to upper socioeconomic status. So that's the background of our university. And then the timeline of events regarding the COVID-19. So from the left, in 19th of March, we started the online learning. We call it in Indonesia, it's PJJ, Pembelajaran Jarak Jauh, or long distance educations. This is enacted because of we want to anticipate the worsening situation in our hometown, especially relating to COVID-19. So beginning 16 March, all students started to learn from home. but the lecturers, the staff, they are still coming to campus. So during the 17th to 19th of March, we conducted emergency workshops for lecturers. We provide them trainings on how to use the learning management systems that we have, the video conferencing software, the how to record lectures, and then using your PowerPoint to record your own voice over your slides, and then use it for the LMS. And then on the 20th of March, because of the worsening situation, the university decided that all lecturers and general staff should start working from home. So basically, it's a campus lockdown. And then on the 28th of April, there is the citywide lockdown, or we call it large-scale social restrictions imposed in our Surabaya city, beginning with 28th of April up to 11th of May. And then this lockdown is, well, it's not really a lockdown. It's like just social restrictions, because people can still go out, but very limited. This social restriction has been extended twice until 8th of June, and then it's a new normal, basically. But people are still encouraged to wear masks, social physical distancing, and then hand washing, etc., etc. And starting on 19th of March, we conducted Excellence in Learning and Teaching Center. We conducted an online survey for students, and the survey lasted slightly until May, but we took the data until 24th of April, and then it becomes a project for students to process that data statistically and then present the results to us. And then we use the online survey method using Google Form. It's very simple. And then we have voluntary responses from students. The limitation is that the survey is just like our moving to online learning is emergency, meaning it's not designed with proper training planning. So it's just basically, okay, we now have to go to online learning, and then we just conducted the survey. So it's very simple survey. And then the data collection is, we distributed the link of the Google form to lecturers, and then ask the lecturers to show the students the link so that the students can submit their responses after online sessions. And so far, during that time period from 19th of March to 24th of April, we have accumulated approximately almost 2,000 responses from students. But the responses each student could submit more than one responses. So it doesn't mean 1,958 students responded. It's just that we collected that many responses from, we don't know how many students, maybe approximately more than 1,000. Okay, and this is the first data that I could show you, the distribution of our respondents across faculties. Basically, the distribution is reflective of our the student body in each faculty at Petra Christian University. It's just that there is one exception. The FBE means the Faculty of Business and Economic. It has more students, but in this case, it has less responses compared to the FTI. This is Faculty of Technological Engineering. So, but all the rest of the faculty are reflective based on their number of students. And I have to mention the credit for the graphics and the data processing to 3 of our students, Erika Giovanni Sugianto, Rudy Darmawan, and Sharon Natasha Sutanto. 96.8% of the responses we got from undergraduate students, because as I mentioned, our student body consisted of mainly undergraduate students. Okay. Now, the student perception on the online learning. We asked the students to rate about their experience of their online learning, or PJJ in Indonesian. And then this is basically the general overview that we have. So very negative perception is only 2%, negative perception about 10%, neutral, meaning they say, okay, nah, that's okay. 36%, positive 38, and then very positive 14%. So basically, there were only 12% of students who viewed their experience of the online learning as negative or very negative. And we want also to see, this is the general overview for the whole period of the survey. But now we want to, I would like to show you the change in the student perception based on the weekly basis. So basically the period of the survey, it was 5 weeks. So that's how the perception of the students evolve from week 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So as you can see here, there is like a decline in the perception up to the 3rd week, and then it's basically going up again to its starting point. I could only speculate that the decrease was due to the what you call it, the midterm exam, because we had received various complaints of their experience in the midterm exam. But after the midterm exam, the perception rose up again. The percentage is on the left. Okay, and then now, besides the quantitative information that I give you, we also, in the survey, we asked 2 simple questions to the students. Do you have any input, critics, maybe, or suggestions? And then question number 2 is, do you have any unique experience during your online learning sessions? So based on that, on those 2 questions, we could categorize all the responses into 5 different things, which is we call the 5M method, which consists of from upper right and clockwise is the man, machine, method, material, and money. And then from man, it's 19%, almost 20% contributed to the problems. So it means that 20% of the problems relating to the man factor. What are those? About lecturers, about their teaching techniques, about the students themselves, because of the lack of self-discipline or boredom or distractions that they experience during the online learning, which might not be happening during the physical classes. But these things came up during the online learning or online classes. And then the second thing is about machine. A machine contributes 25% of the overall problem, consists of the learning management software, video conferencing software, internet connection, general hardware or software issues or problems. Those are 25% of the whole problem. But the biggest problem is the method, which contribute more than half, 50.4% of the whole problem. This includes too many assignments, they complain, and then the students complain, too many assignments, conflict of schedule, communication, the lack of structure in the whole learning, online learning experience, and then about the synchronous versus asynchronous sessions of the online learning. I will talk more about this later. And then much smaller number is about material, only 1.2%. It's about the technical subject that involve maths. I think I saw one of the questions in the chat Zoom, in the chat section of the Zoom about this question as well. That in certain subjects, lecturers found it difficult to explain if it's too technical or needs to a lot of mathematical equations. It's difficult for them to explain that to the students. And then the last aspect is about money, 3.5%. It's about internet or data quota. Basically, that this online learning requires students to buy what we call in Indonesia is an internet quota or data quota. Okay, so basically that's it. So out of these 5 categories, I would focus on the two most the two biggest percentage, which is the method and the machine. And then my next slides will focus on these two. Okay. Now about the method that contributes 54% of the problems for the students. Number one is about assignment. Okay. It's the students said that it's just too much. Okay. I will just try to read some of the. So lecturers tend to add more assignments than previously agreed upon at the beginning of the semester, because the semester started when it was still physical classes, offline classes. But then after maybe 4 weeks or 5 weeks, we had to switch wholly to online classes. So some lecturers, with this switch, they add more assignments than previously agreed upon at the beginning of the semester. This tendency can either be on top of the online synchronous session or video conference, or the assignments were given to compensate for the lack of or absence of the online synchronous session by the lecturers. Okay, so basically, some lecturers, they switch to online sessions, they give video conferencing sessions, but they add the assignments. Or some lecturers, they had difficulty in utilizing the new software, the new technology. So basically, they, in the first few weeks of the online learning period, they just stopped giving synchronous session. So meaning no video conference session. So they just add more assignments to compensate for the lack of or the absence of the video conferencing sessions. Some, mostly older lecturers, have some difficulties in adapting these new tools or technologies to conduct online learning, either the LMS or the video conferencing software. Even though we have introduced the software during the emergency workshop sessions, but maybe it's just too fast. It's just too quickly moving, and then it's too short. So they still need time to process everything. So they have some difficulties. Okay, this complaint is by far the most dominant one from the students. So many students are complaining about this aspect. Too many assignments. Okay, and then number two is about scheduling conflict. I don't know, maybe because lecturers think that, oh, synchronous online learning, meaning that it can be conducted at any time, right? So some lecturers just hold the online video conferencing. The session was held outside of the regular class schedule. And this has caused some conflicts of schedule with other classes. So students are I mean, in a dilemma, because this a particular lecturer has changed the schedule that will also taken the time of other schedule, and then this has created a lot of headache for the students. Number three is about the online test. This is why I speculated that the decrease in the student perception on the third week was, I think, one of the contributing factor is this online test. I think it's mostly about the mindset. Many lecturers still think that students will cheat. Okay, so some lecturers, because of this mindset, some lecturers tend to be too rigid with online tests. For example, because they have the mindset that students will cheat if they are not monitored closely as in the physical classes. So these lecturers, they look for ways to make it hard for students to cheat in online tests. It can be done in the form of grouping some questions and assigning a certain amount of time, maybe usually very tightly timed, before the students can move on to the next group of questions, and so on and so on. So a very tightly timed group of questions before they could move to another group of questions. This has created an unnecessary stressful situation for students, since they need more time to work on the online environment, especially in doing tests online. This is due to the newness of the environment as well as the internet connection aspect. So some students do not have reliable or fast enough internet connection. Many students said that they have experienced panic due to the continuing counting down of the time in the online text. So I mean, it gives them a sense of urgency, but at the end, it creates a panic. Things will get even worse when the students get connection problem or laptop problem or computer problem. They went into panic mode, of course. So instead of preventing students from cheating, the measures that have taken by the lecturers have caused honest students to do worse in online tests due to the stress. So we can talk more about that in the question and answer if you are interested. But number 4, it's about environment. Online learning means new environment for most of the students. This relates also to the third aspect from the students, which is an environment and technical problem. So with this new adjustment, not only the lecturers, but also the students, even though they are millennial generation, they adapt more quickly than their lecturers, but still, this is a new learning and teaching environment. Lecturers and students need time to adjust. So in the perspective of the lecturers, they still need to adapt that your teaching method on the physical classes may not be able to be what you call that exported directly as they are into the online environment. You might want to make some changes, so the mindset has to be changed as well. Okay, and then for the students, it's relating to this whole new environment, the additional stress that they have while they are doing their tests, while doing their learning, the distractions, and then even the physical space that they have. Not many students, I mean, not all students have a quiet space, or not all students have their own private room where they can do the online learning in a conducive environment. Some might have too many distractions around them while they are learning. Okay, so the number 1, but again, it's about the assignment. The assignment is the number 1 complaint from the students. And then about now we get to the second aspect, which is a machine, which contributed 25% of the whole problems. So basically, we have our own LMS that we call Lentera or Moodle. It's based on Moodle, but we name it Lentera. It's the second. But we also give the freedom to the lecturers, because it's a sudden move to online learning. Our LMS was not ready at that time to handle all the online learning activities from all the classes. So at that time, we had a policy that all lecturers, you are free to use all the LMS that you deemed suitable for your classes. So basically, more lecturers at our university selected to use Google Classroom, 82% something, and then the Lentera, about 60%. Why is not 100%? Because one lecturer can selected more than one options, and then there are other options as well. The other option here, and then about the video conference software, during our emergency workshop sessions, we taught several different kind of software for video conferencing, and it ended up that Google Meet or Hangout is in the first position, and then Zoom, and then Cisco WebEx, and then others other softwares. But these two are the two players, Google Meet and Zoom. We have a Google Suite subscription, so most of our lecturers use Google Meet or and then some lecturers use Zoom. Okay, and then to the next slide. This is the breaking down of the use of video conferencing software based on faculty. So as you can see here, most of the faculties use Meet more than Zoom, with the exception of 2 faculties. which is the FSD means a Faculty of Art and Design, and then FTSP that include the Department of Architecture. So these two faculties, because their nature of their subject, the field of study, they need Zoom, particularly because of the annotation function of Zoom, because they have to teach something that is visual to their students. They most of the lecturers in these two faculties elected to use Zoom more than Google Meet, but in other faculties, Google Meet is the number one. Yeah, just have one or two more slides. Now, the second aspect in the machine aspect is the internet hardware software. Some of the technical or machine aspect involved in the conducting online instruction experienced by students using during COVID-19. The major problem is the data connection, as uh, the previous two keynote speakers have alluded to, that data connection is a big problem, even though no big problem in the big cities like in Surabaya. Okay, but even though in Surabaya, some of our students have complained that they have financial issues to buy the internet quota, because with all the accessing of the digital resources and then the video conferencing, they need a lot of internet quota. And then some of our students went back to their home localities, and this can mean very far away in the East Nusa Tenggara or in the Moluccan Island, where they have been experiencing problems with data connection in terms of the signal coverage, in terms of the internet connection reliability or the speed. So this has become a big problem for our students. And then the second with less intensity is the hardware and software. Because we are giving the freedom to the faculties to use whatever learning management software that they want, whatever video conferencing software that they find it useful. So different lecturers will use different kind of software, and these are kind of confusing for some students. So they said that we need to have some more some standardization for the use of software for LMS and for video conferencing. And then about computer, laptop, smartphone are now the main tools for learning. It used to be additional tools. Now it's the main tools. Headphone, headset, earphone, now essentials. It used to be just for entertainment in the past, but now it's so essential, as well as with any other additional hardware and software that lecturers or students need to purchase, because they could no longer or they had some problem accessing certain software from the lab on campus. Now some of them have to install their own software in their home. Okay, so those are basically just the overview of the survey results. I'm just focusing on the main problem of the two aspects of the man and machine. And just to close my presentation, I would just to show you that we just published a book. We call it Mendadak Daring, which in English literally translated into suddenly online, because we are forced to be online suddenly. We have released these ebooks to the public on the 29th of June, but unfortunately, it's only available in Bahasa Indonesia. We still don't know whether we will be translating this to English, but we'll let you know if we do decide on that. So yeah, basically that's the whole of my presentations, and we'd like to give the time back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aditya, for a very stunning survey result from the students' perspectives, from the students' voices. And we would also proceed now, as time really is tight. We are going to proceed with question and answer session. which was supposed to be 20 minutes actually, but the committee has just contacted me that we only have 15 minutes for the questions. So could you please give me a permission to not um, reading or not mentioning the name of the person who asked the questions, and give me permission on combining the questions into one. For example, when you have several related questions, and I will also ask every speaker to respond to the questions in maximum 5 minutes. So I hope you give me your permission to do that, just for uh, the time efficiency. Um, the first question now will be for Dr. Go. Dr. Go, there is a question about what if you have students from different faiths, and actually the institution doesn't ask you to share the gospel, but you know you have to share the gospel. And another thing is, what if the parents at home have different perspectives in the formation program, especially according to this questionnaire, in values.
Okay.
Another thing, I think you already answered, Dr. Go, question with one long question with one short answer about the balance of synchronous and asynchronous, just to make sure there is the personal interaction between the teacher and the students. So if you want to also clarify what you mean with the balance between synchronous and asynchronous, you are welcome. So there are three things that I think I have selected together with two attendants in YouTube and Zoom platforms for you, Dr. Go, to respond.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you.
continue with the last question about the asynchronous and synchronous. I just want to add to my answer that it is possible to communicate the presence of the teacher even asynchronously. No? So as long as the teacher responds to the discussion boards, that's also one way of being personable, no? Online. Now, regarding faith and values formation, as I said earlier, uh, it really depends on your philosophy. And if your philosophy is to teach the faith and values as facts, you will get into trouble because you are insisting that you are the only one correct. No? But if you are proposing that the teachings of scripture, for example, or values as judgments, you are inviting the students to think for themselves and to make their own judgments. No? Now, with regard to faith, I would be more careful because obviously, unless it's a religion class, there's really no need to sort of be in your face about your own faith. No, but I think as educators, our job as Christian educators, our job is to invite and challenge our students to make a personal judgment about their faith so that they will live their faith authentically, whatever that faith is. No, because you cannot impose on other people. Even if I believe, obviously I'm a Catholic, I'm a priest, obviously I believe in my faith, I cannot impose on other people because it's it's not going to work. It just doesn't work that way. Nobody's going to accept it. No? But with regard to values, again, if we propose values as judgment, in other words, we have reason supporting why we feel these values are important, we're only inviting our students to make a similar judgment. No? And we are not imposing on them. So if the parents complain and disagree with you can always say, I wasn't imposing the values as facts. I was proposing them as judgments. No? So there is a way around that. I hope I answered your questions.
I hope so. Thank you, Dr. Go. Another question, because you still have time, Dr. Go, is about, is there any experience in doing service learning with marginalized communities such as disabled people in trying to build or encourage the empathy of the students?
So the question is, do I have an experience doing that?
Yes.
Yes, I went through a similar a program where I served for 1 month in a orthopedic hospital for the poor, you know. So and I was serving those who had spinal problems the whole month. So uh, I think working with people who are disabled is really a very powerful way to sort of nurse empathy, you know, for other people, because really you will begin to appreciate all the things we take for granted, no? Like being able to move properly, being able to be independent and take care of ourselves. All these things that the many disabled people could not do when I was doing my service learning. So yes, that's a very effective way. But online, that would be a little bit problematic, I think, no, obviously. But you can also access stories of people who are disabled, how they felt, what happened to them, and that can also create the some kind of empathy, no? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Go. I would like now to move to Dr. Eka, because uh, we have questions very specific about, uh, in trying to help the students in Sanata Dharma. This might be some example that the uh, person who asked this question asked for, maybe an example. How to keep your students' physical health when we have to learn from home during this global pandemic, and how is Sanata Dharma University facilitate students to learn well? So maybe you can respond to these questions, Dr. Eka.
Thank you for the question given to me. We just finished our service, not service learning, but KKN. I'm sorry. We just finished our KKN using online system. I mean,
Service
because
learning.
yeah, service learning, sort of service learning. Before pandemic, this program is always working in a remote area. Some students would go to a remote area, but due to pandemic, we cannot do that anymore. And therefore, we developed the so-called independent KKN, or independent service learning, because the main point is not to have a remote area situation, but the most important thing is how to cultivate compassion from our student. And therefore, they are free to do many activities based on their own context. They have many, they may propose any related activities, as long as through this kind of activities, they can develop their compassion to the society. Now, regarding to the, it works because we just finished the program. And regarding your question about how to make sure how to have our students maintain or keep their health using an online environment, I think it depends on the way we design our online learning. Online learning does not mean that every or all activity should be done using ICT. Online learning can be just a way of communication, and many other activities, especially physical activities, can also be introduced using online learning. So we may ask our students to do things like making a survey, doing things, doing exercise, and so on. And then they can report, our student can report to us by taking pictures or taking videos. So there are many possible things to do using an online platform. So that's why the design process, the design aspect of online learning is very essential. If we don't have any pandemic problem, then in our campus, we enforce our students to be actively join some physical activities. So we provide a very good football field. We develop our auditorium. We have many places to gather, to have some physical activities, and even in our whole person education program, where every student has a chance to be accompanied by their advisor for 1 year, we integrate the program with physical exercise activities like group dynamics, outbound, and visiting some interesting places. Uh, yes, as a Jesuit university, we have enough and sufficient facilities to support physical health, and most importantly, for me, our concern to develop good physical environment is the most appropriate response to the digital life, because one threat we have in digital life is physical health. If our young student, our youngster, our student are so enjoyable in using digital platform, and there is a threat that their physical health is in danger, then we should develop the way our response is to develop our physical facilities like sport hall, a football field, in such a way these facilities is also very interesting to those our young student. And because we believe a good life should be the whole person life in many aspects, either physically, spiritually, and mentally. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eko. Exactly 5 minutes for both questions response. Thank you. Now, Dr. Adit, there are some questions for you too, based on the survey from the students' voices, but also maybe your analysis and further survey, if any. There are questions like this. What teachers should concern in order to sustain students' meaningful learning, retention, and motivation to learn? Is it better for teachers to allocate more time for lecturing and interactive sessions in the online class, or only short lecturing time but expose them with materials, with reading materials, something like a flip learning with reading materials or assignments with various due dates? Those questions. And another, if you have maybe some result from the students' voices, the online platform which may be low cost. Thank you.
Okay. uh, okay. Regarding maybe about platform that is low cost, I think in Indonesia, especially in the Indonesian context, certain carrier like Telkomsel, I believe, has made it a free access to your university learning management system. So, but your university needs to register your IP address of your LMS server to Telkomsel, and then after it's registered, all the data access to the address will be free. It means that all the students who are accessing the LMS, in our case at Petra, we have registered our Lentera server to Telkomsel. That means that all access to Lentera, either for downloading materials to interact with in the forum section or in doing the online quiz, all the data access is free. But I think that's limited to the certain carrier Telkomsel, and only one server can be registered to have this to enjoy this free access for the data connection. That's one. So it's not a a satisfying solution, but at least it's part of the solution. And second, maybe not about which software is low cost or for in terms of data connection, because there are conflicting information about which video conferencing software only generates the least amount of data. Some say it's Zoom, but some say it's Google Meet. Some say it's something else. So I'm not I mean I'm not in I don't have any expertise to judge that. So, but I think the way the way to go is to reduce the amount of time for synchronous online interactions, meaning reduce the time for video conferencing. This to help this solution is to help students with limited financial resources to buy the internet quota and stuff like that. Maybe that's part of the solution. And then the first question is about how to maintain students' interest in learning.
That's right.
Maybe yeah. We as lecturers, because this is a mendadak daring or suddenly online, we don't have any prior experience. Everything is new for us. So many of us tend to just transport what we do in the physical world into the online world. Meaning, if we have 2 hour lectures on physical classes, we also do 2 hours video conferencing. While that's not necessarily the best thing to do. Okay, so in the early days of our mendadak daring or suddenly online, my center proposed to the university rector to adopt a policy that if you have a 2 hour physical class lecture, it doesn't mean that you have to do 2 hours of video conferencing. You can supplement that with other asynchronous activity, still online but asynchronous. Maybe ask the students to read first, give some reading assignment, give students some discussion assignment that they have to discuss first, so that they will spend time to discuss on the learning management software, for example. So those are the kind of things that you can do to sustain student interest. So it's not the whole 2 or even 3 hours of video conferencing, but you can divide it into chunks, or you can use there are many resources with millennial generation right now. They are more visually oriented students. So use visual resources, YouTube videos. There are so many interesting things that you can find in YouTube videos. The only drawback is that most of them are in English. Yeah, but if it's not a big problem, then it's a wonderful resources. Or you can also do. I mean, maybe just I just saw like some what you call ice breaking activities for Zoom or for video conferencing. So basically, it's just like ice breaking in the physical world, but this one in the online world. So maybe that's just touching on the surface, but at least those are starters that you can do.
Thank you, Dr. Aditya. Thank you for only touching the surface, because there are questions that we didn't try to respond right now in the first series, because we think and we suspect, we expect that the second series will answer some deeper and maybe practical too questions. So yes, I think thank you very much for the 3 keynote speakers for responding to as many questions that we can get in such a limited time. Thank you too for all your questions, dear participants. And now for the last agenda, but not least, of course, we are going to proceed with the closing remark from Dr. Hope S. Anthony, the Director of Faculty Development of the United Board for Christian Higher Education in Asia. Dr. Anthony, the time is yours for the closing remark.
Sorry. Hi. Um, I would like to speak on behalf of my colleagues from the United Board. I would like to congratulate and thank the team of the Whole Person Education ambassadors who made this first part of the webinar series possible. It is very heartening to know that you continue to be committed to the philosophy, the principles, as well as the pedagogy of whole person education. And the very question that you have been asking since very early this year, how do we embed whole person education in online teaching? It was already difficult during the face-to-face teaching. How much more is it challenging during the online teaching? I think this speaks volumes. This question alone that you raised speaks volumes about your big commitment to this whole person education, philosophy, pedagogy, and principles. And so I think the United Board, everyone at the United Board would join me in saying thank you very much and congratulations on this first webinar. Um, I think I would just like to say also that uh, affirming what the speakers have said, and we are grateful to Father Johny, Dr. Eko, and Dr. Adi, who is also one of the WPEA alumni. um, we were always reminded during the training in Ateneo that we teach who we are. It's a quotation from Parker Palmer. But now the question is, how do we communicate that presence? In the words of Father Johnny earlier, how do we communicate this presence as a teacher during the online teaching? And I think they have shown examples of how to show our empathy while building the empathy among the students, how to encourage student feedback regularly, how to be more mindful about how we design courses, make them short but of higher quality. No need to spend so much time, burdening students with long lectures or a lot of readings. I think we need to learn the technique of putting important chunks of lessons in our teaching, and then always find ways to engage them. I think these are some of the reminders that we have received from our speakers. So this is just the first part. So I think you will have to look forward to the second part where you will continue to learn more and have also chances to raise your questions. So thank you once again to everyone. All the best.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony, for wrapping up all the topics of the day and also for encouraging and support us continuously. Now, this is the end, ladies and gentlemen, of the webinar series 1. And we are looking forward to seeing you again in the second series next week, Wednesday, August the 12th, 2020 at 9 a.m. Western Indonesia time or 10 a.m. Manila, Hong Kong time. And here is your exit ticket link to at the bottom left side of the slide today. Again, I thank you all the keynote speakers, all the representatives of the UBCHEA and the participants and the committees. On behalf of the committee, I say goodbye now, but see you again next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you next week.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony.
Welcome. Yang nambah di situ apa exit tiket tuh?